With all the talk about Hunter Biden and his taxes, did you know that there is an actual presidential candidate who has not paid years of back taxes, and yet few seem to care? Ivy League professor and 2024 presidential candidate Cornel West, a guy who has spent a lot of his life advocating for higher taxes on the wealthiest Americans, is finally responding after an investigation found that West owed the IRS more than $500,000 in unpaid taxes. West does not appear to be denying he owes the money, but basically saying it's all a distraction. Here's what he said on The Breakfast Club this morning.
Anytime you shine a flashlight under somebody's clothes, you're gonna find all kind of mess, because that's what it is to be human. Partly because I do like to give to loved ones and others too, but I take responsibility for it too. But it don't make no difference to me. What's interesting is, you want to use it as a distraction. Why don't you keep the focus on the suffering that I'm highlighting?
That's right. That's right.
Yep, that's right.
Go to Harlem, go to Brooklyn, go to South Central LA, go to South Side Chicago. That's what I'm talking about.
Cornel West also joked about being broke in the middle of that exchange. One of the policies that he highlights is making taxes on the rich, quote, higher, much higher. Except it really doesn't seem that he puts his money where his mouth is. An investigation by the Daily Beast that analyzed county clerk records in New Jersey and California found West, the Green Party presidential candidate, who's been getting a lot of attention in the media with regular appearances on cable news, owes more than $500,000 in outstanding federal tax liens. Now, to those who say, well, he isn't a serious candidate, that's why no one cares, well, a recent Emerson College polling survey, for example, of Michigan voters, found that he could make all the difference in the election there. Their poll of a hypothetical 2024 presidential matchup shows President Biden and former President Trump statistically tied at 44%. But when Green Party candidate Cornel West was added to the mix, Trump moved to 43, Biden went to 41, West captured 4. West could be a pretty big deal when it comes to who our next president is. So should his tax liens be a bigger deal? Lien is, quote, the government's legal claim against your property when you neglect or fail to pay a tax debt. The IRS had repeatedly flagged West over unpaid taxes in both Jersey, where he owns a home, and California, where his personal attorney's office is located. His back taxes include apparently $85,000 plus from 2017, almost $137,000 from 2017. You see the numbers there. 98,000 plus from 2015, and the numbers go on, and some from 2005, all of which remain unresolved. Now, this isn't the first time West has let his unpaid taxes mountain. He racked up more than $700,000 in liens in a 6-year period ending in 2004. He paid down that balance 6 years later. For the federal liens that remain open, those don't close until 30 days after the money you owed had been paid, but that doesn't appear to be his explanation. The only response the Daily Beast got was a one-liner from West's iPhone that read, quote, "My brother, I've asked my accountant to respond to these charges, some of which are not true." His accountant apparently hasn't responded either. But what makes this so stunningly hypocritical is that West has even called Hunter Biden's now lapsed plea agreement to federal tax charges a little tap on the wrist. Except whatever you think of the Hunter deal, at least he paid his taxes back and the fines. That does not seem to be the case for Cornel West. So as the world discusses a non-presidential candidate's tax returns, a presidential candidate who has called for higher taxes, his returns seem to go largely unnoticed. Joining me now is Frank Morano. He's the host of The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano on 77 WABC Radio. Frank, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Dan.
So why does this seem to be getting so little attention?
I think it's a reflection of a few realities. One, conservative media, Fox News, Newsmax, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, you know the list. They have an interest in propping up Cornel West as much as possible because they want that 2, 3, 4% of the vote in the general election to be what makes the Republican nominee, presumably Trump, the next president. They saw what happened when Jill Stein was blamed for electing Trump, when Ralph Nader was blamed for electing Bush, and they're hoping that the same scenario happens with Cornel West. So there's going to be no arrows coming from the right on this. Now, the bigger question is, Why then the silence from the left? You'd think they'd be trying to do whatever they can to torpedo Cornel West. Now, I think it's a reflection of three realities. One, we know of Al Sharpton's tax issues, including having his own nonprofit, which is subsidized by the taxpayers, buy his own life story from himself. Does any of these cable news networks, including MSNBC, really want all of their contributors to undergo the same sort of tax scrutiny that Cornel West has called for? Also, I think if they make an issue of this, the obvious question to them is, why did you put this fellow on television every day for the last 10 years when all these tax liens were well known and the glaring hypocrisy that you referenced there was very much at play?
And you mentioned also you think that for someone like MSNBC, there's a racial component.
Absolutely, and I think that might be the biggest component here. When Dr. Cornel West has, rightly or wrongly, never hesitated to play the race card and inject race into every argument, whether we're talking baseball, whether we're talking taxes, whether we're talking the death penalty. Cornel West makes everything about race. So if all of a sudden there's a cavalcade of negative news stories about his taxes, don't you think he's going to say, well, doesn't this compare to XYZ candidate? How come you're not making an issue with their taxes? And MSNBC and their base, they're not going to want to be called racist by someone like Cornel West.
It does seem interesting that the Daily Beast, which is a left-leaning publication, is doing a deep dive on his finances now. You know, you have to wonder whether they are sort of trying to, as you put it, potentially torpedo. I mean, I'm not saying it's illegitimate, and the reporting was actually, it seems very strong on this. They did a lot of work on this.
I know this reporter. He's a real professional and a seasoned journalist. But the question is, why wasn't this an issue a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Cornel West was still very much a public figure. And it's true he wasn't a presidential candidate, but he was an integral part of Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and a big advocate of the left. And I think the Daily Beast, they are interested in doing a little bit of blocking on behalf of Team Biden. So I don't know that it was an editorial decision from the Daily Beast itself or whether it generated kind of organically from the reporter. But whatever the case, I think that's part of the reason that the Daily Beast is doing this story to begin with, is a desire to not see him hurt Biden.
But to be clear, and I believe this, I think the Daily Beast did some very good reporting on this. The reason we're covering it is because neither the right or the left are really going to cover it. And so I think the Daily Beast deserve credit for digging in on this.
I would hope that the Daily Beast and every media outlet will do the same sort of deep dive to all the presidential candidates, the 12 Republicans, the 3 Democrats, and if we're going to have the third-party candidates be paid attention to by the cable news networks, which I think is great, then let's look at those folks as well.
Frank Morano, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.